Welcome, sir. Everybody, let's jam our hands together for our guy. They are the ones that gave me jacket. So don't say that I came prepared. Check, check. I know it now. Everything I sent to you, indeed. Check. This man. Oh, this is na end. I wrap up. Yes. I need you. But then to just be talk, you need slide. It inside my bag. That small bag. Check, 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 check. Do we have? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay. So, okay. Good day. Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing? I'm doing fine. You guys are looking fresh. Say God, when no, when I'll go fresh like my ogas. I know what to do. Let's not start that talk. Let's not start that talk live, please, please. We'll see after the service. Okay, today we are not going to waste much time talking. It's more of doing work like our Oga will say, go and mix. We are going to mix today. I'm going to have a peek into how my brain works when I approach mixes. First of all, yesterday we talked about foundation of live audio mixing, and um, that part of the lesson is very very important. That part people sideline that a lot, so they don't understand the basics. Like I said, they fly before it starts crawling or walking. And just because we have access to um, digital consoles now, so everybody just jumping on one and pressing all the buttons till they get something. So today we are going to be talking on mixing for live broadcast and advanced techniques. So yesterday we talked on the house mix, or what do you need to do. Some people share their problems with us. My pastor or my preacher. My preacher is giving me issues. He doesn't use his mic well. All of that was addressed yesterday. So today let's go into mixing for live broadcast. It's a quite different approach, or quite different approach to this than mixing for the house to get that clean and clear, crisp um, live broadcast. Yeah, difference between live sound mixing and broadcast mixes. As you can see, the live sound mixing focus on creating an immersive experience. When I say immersive experience, talking about giving your audience that surround sound feel like they are in the music with, and it's not like you are disconnecting them from, oh, the performers are doing their own, they are doing their own. So it's like putting the whole room, the whole audience, giving them an immersive experience, and emphasizes special effects, dynamic performance adjustment. When we say about dynamic performance adjustment, we are talking about you know managing the dynamics of each performances. Some performances they will be soft, some heavy, contemporary praise, like they call it now. Some everybody bang bang bang. So, and then addressing real time problems. That's one of the technical things about live sound. Your problems are attacking you right there, and they are not waiting for you to. If you cannot think fast and address them immediately, you've lost that. You've lost that performance or that session. You've lost it. Whereas broadcast mixing prioritize a clear, balanced sound that translates well on headphones, computer speakers, and various digital devices, because that is where most people that stream online listen on. You don't see somebody that stream online streaming on HS8 studio monitors. I mean, maybe the person is a producer. But then the person will not go and buy HS8 in his house because he wants to stream your live service, or he wants to stream your live, he wants to stream your event. You see people using their regular sound system in their homes streaming your event. So, and then people on phones, most people will just connect it to their headphones and then they're streaming your event. So how do you make your mix sound both good in the house or at the venue and online, clean and clear, audio for people streaming on different digital devices? It involves careful management of compression and loudness to meet online standards. There are online standards. They call them LUFS, loudness unit. If I can remember, loudness unit something standard. I think it's in the next. I think it's in the next. Loudness unit relative to full scale. That's LUFS, and then that's the standard that we used online. Different streaming platforms and their own standards. Um, Spotify is the standard, the loudness standard for Spotify is different from that of YouTube, different from that of different you know online streaming platforms and their own standard. Yeah. So moving on. Below is the table that highlights the contrasting priorities between live sound mixing and broadcast mixing. So what we are looking at, special effects, like we said. In live sound, we emphasize on that immersive experience using natural room acoustic panning reverb to create that dynamic live atmosphere in your venue. And then on broadcast, it's not a necessity, because somebody streaming on their phone cannot have a massive cannot have that a massive spatial experience. Most of those devices are probably bringing out their audio at with mono or at most stereo. So focus on ensuring a consistent stereo image that translates well across headphones and home speakers. Now, clarity. Minimal spatial for live sound. Minimal spatial processing focus is on ensuring a consistent stereo image that translates well across. Oh, sorry. I think I I mixed it up. I think I mixed it up. So I'll fix that though. Let me let's just let's just continue. This mouse is not responding well on my laps. So prioritizes crisp, clear sound with precise EQ and processing to eliminate unwanted noise and distraction in um, digital playback devices that's in your room in the venue. While for broadcast, we focused on ensuring consistent image that translates well on headphones, and so we need more clarity in broadcast. We also need clarity in your live sound, but then you need more clarity for broadcast, because most of all these phone speakers, headphones, they have more high frequencies prominent in their make of their speakers than there's no a sub. You don't have sub in on your phone, so at most of the high frequencies are quite prominent in your phone speakers, and maybe if you have a home sound system, then you have a sub included with your sound system. Then lucky for you, you have the full range. And dynamic range. When we talk about dynamic range, we're talking about how dynamic the music, the performance, the talk, whatever it is. And a live sound requires rapid real-time adjustment to accommodate the fluctuating energy of a live performance. Sometimes the performance can sing slow and calm, and then you have to manage that compared to when they are all in and doing like heavy rock, metal. Then in live sound, you use your compression, manage your levels and all of that to manage um to real time adjustments of all those, the energy fluctuation. While on broadcast, you use compression and loudness normalization to maintain a consistent and controlled dynamic range across different streaming and listening setup. So what we can see from this is, or what we can take from this is, for broadcast, you are looking at consistency in your loudness. So it's not like um, when somebody is speaking is lower than your music. So a good broadcast mix would have a balanced loudness all through. So even when the person speak, when there is a talk going on or when there is preaching going on, it's the volume is okay, and when the music is not too loud. So you are control. There has to be consistency in your loudness for broadcast. While in the live sound, you can have, you just manage the fluctuation of the energy, or the person is going hard, the person is not going hard. So you manage that you manage the what they call it, the energy level in a live sound environment. But on broadcast, it has to be consistent. You have to keep that loudness consistent. That's why there's a loudness um, online standard. for each streaming platforms. Yeah. Moving on. Understanding audio interfaces and routing for streaming. Now I had to, when I was preparing this slide, I had to put in mind that some of us are using analog, setups. So I had to put that in mind. If not, I would have just approached it like straight from the digital board. But I had to put that in mind too, so that we can all benefit and make our online stream more enjoyable. So start with an audio interface. Audio interface converts analog signals, microphones, your instrument, your guitar, drums, all of that into digital signal, so that your computer can read it and accept it. And the key features of an audio interface, they have multiple. Some might have multiple channels. There's low latency. Maybe that low latency conversion. That means the audio signal as it's happening live, as it's converting it into digital, it is not lagging. It is not even if there is going to be a little lag, it's not obvious to the ears. So that's what we call low latency conversion. And built-in preamps and audio. When I say audio interface, this too, a digital mixer too is an audio interface. You get a sound card too is an audio interface. It converts what analog signal to digital signals. So that's what an audio interface does. So now you now than on the analog, board, you need something else to now convert that analog signal to digital signal that your system can see and read. Now let's go into, yeah.
So does that mean you can take sound directly from this place and plug it to the computer?
Yes.
As a source?
Yes.
For live broadcast?
Yes. It can see it. Your system can see it. You can see each other. So routing for streaming. The signal flows from audio sources, that's your microphone, instrument and all that, to your console, audio interface, then either your DAW or dedicated streaming software like OBS and the likes. OBS is pretty much the most popular of them all for your streaming softwares. Yeah, vMix too. So all of that is how the signal flows from your audio source to your, let's keep in mind, this is for streaming. Yesterday when we were talking about live sound, it's from your audio source to your mixing console, processing, then output to the PAs. But this one is quite different. Your audio sources, mixing console, audio interface, or if your mixing console is also another interface, you can just skip that and then go straight into your DAW or streaming software. And the routing concept, you set up different separate channels for vocals, that's on your mixing console, and create sub mixes, monitor mixes. When I say sub mixes, like if you're on a digital board now, you have the luxury of creating a separate mix from the house mix for just broadcast. But on the analog, that is not quite possible. You can probably have a separate bus out to maybe manage the volume at best. Like I said, on the analog board, on digital board, you can have a separate mix from your house mix. But on the analog board, you probably don't have the luxury of that. You are probably taking, maybe if there's even free channels in your aux out or your bus, take out that, then you send to your. But then if you have an aux out, you can still create a separate mix for your Yes. It's not. Yeah, it's, well, it's still well, it's pretty much even on your digital board too. If you have a luxury of two mixers ahead, you can say you create a separate mix or like entirely, but then you're still managing volume. But analog space, most of the time your aux out is not even there's not even enough. Let's just face facts in the local churches. We don't even have enough aux out before we can even say, okay, let's dedicate one aux, be two aux out for stereo. Two matrix. That one you still even have matrix. That's some people will look at that as high end because when you have um, the MGX series that just has no, they have six. You have six. Yeah, you can convert your FX to an output too. So, but basically you have four and then four groups, and the groups is the copy of your front of house mix. You understand? So that's why I said you can just have a group out, like said sub mixes, group out for your analog, and you send that out, or you copy your main, or you have like maybe a Y cable, whatever, to split the main mix signal to go to your audio interface, then digital streaming software. So basically, you have to create a sub mix so you get for your broadcast. This is a simple diagram I was able to come up with showing the signal flow from your audio sources to your mixing console. This is for a what? Analog setup. It's for an analog setup rather. So look at it. You're going from mixing console into an audio interface like Focusrite, Behringer, whatever, anyone, UAD. Then from that, you take that into your streaming software. So that's the best way it's going to work for it, because I see some people they use this mm, TRS to TRS one quarter, that's the jack to directly into their laptop. Just that play out cable, you just plug it into their laptop. You will face a lot of challenges in that, because sometimes those cables still carry noise again, and your audio interface has a way of cancelling out those noises sometimes. So if your that's if your cables are not making noise themselves again, or the mixer itself is making noise. So there are ways to eradicate that. But like I said yesterday, check your cables. That's one of the fastest way to eradicate noise in your system. Check your cables. Apart from the mixer itself producing noise, like our Oga said yesterday, um, check your cables, check your connectors, and you should be fine. Now, optimizing sound for online platforms. Compression. I'm just going to be touching on this. I mean, just to explain further. But there are still techniques that we discussed yesterday. Compression to reduce dynamic range, like we explained yesterday, and maintain consistent volume. This is very important. Compression is very important when you're talking about broadcast mix. because, like we said, we want that consistent volume, we want that consistent loudness. So, in helping to achieve that, you need compression to help you manage that consistency in volume levels, so that quieter parts aren't lost and louder parts do not what? Clip. You know what clipping is now? We explained it yesterday. Clipping is distortion. And the key settings are threshold. We didn't discuss this yesterday. Threshold. I gave us an assignment. For people that were still around, I gave us an assignment to go and know the parameters of each of the channel strip. I said you should go and check the parameters for gates, the parameters for dynamics and compression. Am I wrong? Okay. Am I wrong? Where's the assignment? Okay. Let me just give the floor to, please. One day. Take the mic. Let me hear what we've been able to research. Huh? The people that were around till the end, they know themselves. So what have we been able to research? What is threshold? What is ratio? What is attack? What is release? Anybody? Anybody cares to explain those key settings in compression? We're all looking up to one person to do it.
I think the
Okay.
attack of the thing is just to like manage the signal level of the um, what's it called, the sound.
Where you mean what do you mean by manage the signal level?
uh, like control, like I think that's the word, control.
Like know which
Control the signal level.
point to hold on to probably start work or something.
Yes.
No.
Maybe
That's
from
your
one.
threshold.
Threshold.
Okay.
That's threshold. So that's threshold is the one that you set. So at so point, compression starts.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Prophet.
All right. So, 2, 1, 2. Okay. So, threshold clear, right? So your threshold is what level you want the compression to kick in. So if, for example, you set your threshold at a particular level, and maybe on this mic, and the level at which I'm speaking has not gotten to that threshold that is set, the compression will not kick in. But the moment I get louder and the level rises to that point and it hits the threshold, compression will kick in. So that's your threshold. At what point do you want compression to start? Then the ratio is, well, if you look at the settings of a compression, there are different, for different devices, different boards. I think there is a general industry standard, but on the boards, you might see different settings, maybe ratio 3:1, ratio 2:1, 3:1, 4:1, 6:1, all the way up. So what that means is, if you set it to 3:1, for example, is for every 1 dB increase in sound, the compression should cut it down by 3 dB. So that's ratio 3:1. So if the sound gets 1 dB higher than what it is now, the compression will act on it and cut it down by 3 dB. That's ratio 3:1. Mm-hmm. So once you move it to ratio 6:1, is for every 1 dB increase, the compression should cut it down by 6. That's what the ratio does. Then your attack it works with time. How fast do you want the compression to work on my mic? So if you set If you set it to fast attack, that means the moment I hit that threshold, the compression comes in immediately. But if you set it to a very low attack point, once I hit the threshold, the compression comes in slower than it is. So fast attack, the release is the opposite of the attack. So after it has attacked, if I hold your neck, I hold it for 1 second and I release it. So that release is after the attack has worked on my mic, how fast do I want it to release back to the normal point, or how slow do you want it to release? So basically, that's just it. But if you read up on compression, you will get it. So threshold, ratio, attack, release, very important points to get.
Put your hands together for him. He has done a lot of justice to that. I'll just add this.
Your computer. I think
Okay. No, it's still on. Maybe it's from here. Okay, so I'll add this. See a compressor as a because there are some plugins there's a plugin that is also called transient shaper. I'll see compression or a compressor as a transient shaper, because what we are trying to control are transient of different audio signals. The drums have transients, the vocals have transients. If you look at the wave of a vocal, you see some places that peak, and some places, those are transients. You are trying to control that to have a consistent volume. And there are some places that are quiet. So I'm going to explain. There's one more key setting that is not here, and that's the gain knob. That's the gain. That's the gain. So after you compress, like I said, let's say your signal, you set it to a 3:1 ratio, and then it has passed the threshold, and then it comes down by 3 dB. So to bring back everything else to the same, to or a similar, to quite close level, then you bring back your gain to add. So when you add back that 3 dB that you lost from gain reduction of your compression, you are also bringing up lower parts or the quieter parts by what? 3 dBs. And that is how you get a more consistent volume with compression. I see some people use compression and they don't even know what it's doing. They know that when they on it, it does something, but they don't even know what it's doing or why they should compress. And it's very important for us to know why we should be compressing, or even any decision that we're making in the audio space. Why I always try to ask myself, why am I doing this? Why am I compressing? Why am I EQing? So always ask yourself that question. Is it that if something is not bad, or if it doesn't sound bad, just leave it. It's better you leave it than to mess it up. Do you understand? So some people just put compression because every time they've seen it online, the person puts compression. Also, I must compress. Put on compression. If even for what doesn't even need compression, you just keep putting compressor on it, compressor all over the place. So we are trying to control dynamics. That's the main reason why you are using a compressor, to control dynamics. And so if something is not so dynamic, or the dynamics are not all over the place, then don't bother stressing yourself to add a compression, a compressor rather. Yes, Monday.
For those that are using maybe an analog
Mhm.
mixer now, and then we have this extra. I want to ask: is crossover and compressor, are they the same function?
No,
Okay.
they are not the same function.
So
They don't do the same thing.
okay, so for those of us that have analog mixer, then we have this box for the compressor. Now, how can someone able to like manage the, I mean, the whole
Dynamic
dynamics of it?
without compression,
I mean,
right?
with the, I mean, having the extra compressor,
Okay,
then
external
external,
compressor.
yeah, external compressor with the
It's like we said, it's the same thing. If you have whether you have the compressor on board or externally, you have to know. Yeah.
Sir, the external compressor, does it work for all the channels at once?
No. Compressors, I think depending on the compressor, the analog external compressor, some are single, some are stereo. So, and if you have 32, that's why um, before now you see a full rack of compressors that are added to each channels of an analog setup. Do you understand? So it's the same principle as that we are doing here. Whether it be digital or analog, if you don't understand what these key settings do, you you are not using your compressor right. And if you don't understand what your compression is doing, or your compressor is doing rather, then you are just misusing that tool. How I see it is that you know, all these things on the board, they are like tools to achieve what I want in my mix. So, oh, I want this keyboard to be a bit brighter. What tool do I use to achieve that? EQ. Oh, this I need the punch. I need the punch of this kick to be. I need it to be harder. What tool can I use? I can use compressor. I use a compressor to achieve that. Oh, I don't like the way um the mic it has some background noise in it whenever the speaker or the preacher finishes talking, because you probably have increased the mic to a very loud point that is speaking the background noise in your room. What tool we use to address that? Noise gate. So all these things are tools we use to address problems, not create problem. Solve problem with these tools. So if there's no problem, leave it. Now, recent, I'm not going. Obviously, I'm not going to say I'm not going to say where I saw it. Um, in this area in Akure. Let's just say Akure. I saw a gate on a keyboard. Like, okay, why are you getting the keyboard? They know the face. Why are you getting this keyboard? I saw the way he set the parameters of the gate. I know that it is not for whatever reason that is right. So now your pianist is playing and like he stops playing and he wants, okay, let's say he's even playing a pad and he wants that pad to sustain. Where is it going to sustain to? When you've gated the keyboard. Meanwhile, the so-called engineer, because I'll call that person so-called. It's not an engineer. Has gated keyboard. So you can easily misuse all these tools if you don't know what they do. And before you start getting all fancy with some other um, analog emulating compressors and all those fancy plugins that the YouTubers are pushing in your face. I'm like, I use this EQ, it can automatically just remove all your problems in one touch. Before you go and start tampering with all those kind of plugins, know the basics, know how to achieve what you want with the available tools you have. Do you understand? Yeah. So moving on, equalization. We've talked about how compression or compressors help us control dynamics of our broadcast mix because we need that consistency. So purpose is to adjust frequency balance so that the mix translates well across devices. Now this is where you need to really understand each part of the frequency range and how they translate on different devices. Now your phone is probably not giving you 100 hertz. I don't know whether your phone is is a PA, because your phone is not giving you 100 hertz. You cannot play 100 hertz and conveniently hear that through your phone or your speaker or your laptop speaker. What you'll be hearing will be all those 1K, and the low mid maybe 300. That is what you will hear. That is the lowest that your phone speaker or your laptop speaker can pretty much go. But then if you are now boosting 50 hertz and you expect it to translate on your laptop speaker, sir, I don't know what you are doing. Because your laptop speaker cannot translate 50 hertz. So if I'm mixing online and then I'm boosting 50 hertz, for who? Is it for the people that are using a home stereo system or for people that are using phones? So you have to make sure that your mix translates well on every digital device, not just people that are using their car stereo or people that have a home sound system. Not just for them, everybody. And that is where equalization comes into play, to shaping and to carve out frequencies that will translate more on headphones, speakers, and all of that. So technique, carving out space for each instrument or vocal in the mix, removing unnecessary low-end rumble or harsh frequencies. When you say low-end rumble, that's what we're talking about, the 30, 20, 40, even 50 hertz. You can remove that from your online mix and it will still sound rich and heavy, because your main focus is not somebody that is playing it through I don't know, somebody that is not somebody that is playing it through HS8 Yamaha studio monitors. It's for people that are playing it through their phones, laptop speakers, and all of that. And what people don't understand about not cutting low end rumble is that it takes up energy in your system. When I mean it takes up energy, okay, let's say There's really nothing happening in your 20, 30 hertz, maybe just a spill off of the low end of all your, you know, of all your low end instruments, and then you leave it there. What that is doing is also taking up, because that frequency is also introducing its own volume to your entire mix. So now you are trying to get your mix to sound louder, and when you are trying to get your mix to sound louder, you're obviously introducing a limiter, because a limiter is one of the tools that I use to bump up your audio to a loudness um, streaming standard for each of your streaming platforms. So then you are bumping up everything that is included in your mix. That's why you watch some engineers online, and you see that these people they're cutting up to 16k hertz. Why? Why are they cutting up to 16k hertz? Because leaving that in your mix is also taking up what they call energy in your mix. So if you don't cut out frequencies that you don't need, they will just take up unnecessary energy in your mix, and then you find out that it's harder for you to get to a certain amount of loudness. Me, I would have gotten to that loudness standard before you try to get there, and how I see it is that it's a loudness war. Yeah, on streaming platforms, it's a loudness war because everybody is trying to get to that um, loudness with different mixes, whether it be your mix be a heavy metal, or with a lot of dynamics, or a soft rock with less dynamics, or maybe just piano and vocals. So now somebody just that is just mixing a piano and vocals would have gotten to that loudness standard before you, that is already having like so much dynamics in your mix. So another way of helping to save up energy, like I say, I know you might not, people that understand what I'm saying, they understand what I'm saying. You might not fully understand what I'm saying now, but um, you need to do your research too. So people cut out frequencies or necessary frequencies that is not needed or doesn't translate well in their system. If I play you, and like I was saying, like we were saying yesterday on the hearing frequency range for humans, and I said that as we grow older, some frequencies get lost. Like before you were hearing 20k hertz, now you are, some people, especially those people that go for show, they don't, they maybe it's 10k, they are not hearing, they are no longer hearing 12k or any one above. So now you are mixing for humans that are probably not even hearing 17k, or not talk less about 20k. So why leave that in your mix and it still takes up energy? If I play 20 hertz, you would probably maybe, and this, let's say our sub speaker can translate 20 hertz, you probably just feel it. Well, the sub frequencies, you feel them, you don't necessarily hear them, you just feel them. And some people might not even, when it even goes below that, you might not hear anything, but then they are still taking up energy in your mix. So my advice is cut unwanted frequencies that you don't need. so as to get that loudness, the desired loudness in your broadcast mix, even in your live sound mix. Cut out. You see a lot of engineers. You see how they do a low pass filter and a high pass filter. Why? Because they don't need it. Frequency they don't need, they remove. Yeah. So now loudness and normalization. This is what we've been touching on since. So it's important for us to know that online platforms have loudness standards, and streaming services targets like minus 16 LUFS. Like I said, LUFS is what? Loudness units relative to full scale. So that is most of the streaming platform, that's their standard, minus 16 LGFS. But I can promise you that nobody really does exactly that. Nobody mixes with minus 16 or masters their track or brings up their loudness to just get to minus 16 LUFS. People do a lot louder than minus 16 LUFS. But then it depends on the genre too. So, and like I said yesterday, mixing is not one fit. Okay, there are standards, there are guidelines, but it doesn't mean that um, you cannot break the rules. That's where creativity comes in. Excuse me. As long as it sounds good, then it's fine. But if it doesn't sound good and you're still doing it, then I'm just so sorry for you. So as long as whatever, we don't want to know how you achieve it. Nobody wants to know how you were able to compress that kick with high ratio to achieve your mix or the desired punch that you want. The end of the day, is the mix good? Whatever tools that you did or whatever tools that you use, whatever G mix that you did in your mix, is it good? Did the whole mix end up being good? Is it translating well on devices? That's the goal. Your good stereo mix translating well on all devices, laptop speaker. And that's why you have people called mastering engineers. That's their work. That's the work of a mastering engineer. To get your track, apart from, like, that's the basic work of a mastering engineer, to get your track loud enough, one, and to get your track to be relatable on all devices, all digital devices, your headphones. I mean, the worst Aboki speaker, any device. Not like, oh, my mix sound great on studio monitors, but then when you now play it on Palito, some things are just lost. That's a good sign of I say that's a good sign of a bad mix. Because your mix is supposed to be, even in mono system, a stereo system, your mix should translate well. Okay, moving on. LUFS stands for loudness units relative to full scale. It's a way to measure how loud audio actually sounds to our ear. So it's not just about, on our board we are looking at dB or so that dB is not what is here. So when you get your mix to be hitting minus 16 on your board, it's not this. This is not there's a lot more to LUFS than your loudness on your mixer. Do you understand that? So let's go for that. We'll get get a hang of it. So passive loudness, that's one of the things that you know that are embedded in LUFS. Passive loudness, unlike peak meters, that's what we have on our boards and UV meters and all of that. They only show the highest level of an audio signal. LUFS takes into account how the ear perceives different frequencies. This means it reflects the actual loudness we experience. So let's say even on your board, you are touching minus 8 dB, but then it's a harsh mix. It's going to sound, even if you are touching 8 dB, or let's say it is minus 15 dB or minus 16 dB, because of that prominent frequencies and harsh frequencies, it's going to sound a lot louder than a mix that is touching even minus 2 dB and then it's not as harsh. If I play pink noise now, you will hear more of the high frequencies than what the low frequencies. That's because how the human ear perceives frequencies. So that's one of the things that LUFS takes into account when it is summing up the loudness for your track. It's not just taking into account of, oh, this thing is this loud. It's taking into account how the frequencies interact with the human ears. So even if two tracks are hitting minus 10 dB on your peak meter, it's not going to be reading the same, and one is harsh and the other is not. It's not going to be reading the same on LUFS. Do you understand? Let's move on. Consistency in playback. Broadcasting and streaming platforms use LUFS to ensure the different programs or track play at similar loudness. That means not just like I said, peak loudness. Over time, how the human ears perceive it's like an AI that is detecting, oh, this or the high frequencies are at this level and the low frequencies are at this level, and summing it all up, and there's, oh, the LUFS of this track is so and so. So, and then even if you move from, so why they put this standard, why stream platform put these standards, is so as whatever mix you move in between, whether it's a harsh mix or a soft mix, whatever mix, whatever dynamic level or the energy level that the mix is consistent. That's why you can go through Spotify from song to song and you see that it's as if everything is just the same volume. So this is the standard they use, LUFS, to get that consistency. And that's why we spoke that broadcast, streaming, there's more importance placed on consistency. Do you understand? More importance placed on consistency. So you need that consistent level, and that is why we use LUFS as our standard. This prevents one song or show from sounding much louder or quieter than the others. Standard, for example, many streaming services aim at around 16 LUFS for stereo content. This helps maintain uniform listening experience across various devices and environments. So, I believe with all of this that I've said, before we go on, does anybody, have I been saying jargons, or do we actually get? Because this part is very important in your broadcast. This is the most important.
I think I have a question, or just to talk about this.
Okay.
You're talking about tracks. Maybe if the track is on, I think you mentioned, is it pink or what?
I said pink noise.
Peak noise.
I said
Okay.
pink noise. It's an oscillator that generates this. An oscillator that generates pink noise. That's its
Okay.
total difference.
Okay. For example, now on sorry, I'm using analog mixer.
Sure, sure,
So,
sure, sure. Please.
so for example, now on your analog mixer, you have mixed everything and all is perfect. Then during the maybe the performance and everything, then maybe one instrument or one maybe vocals started to kind of like give you distorted, signal like that. So, and it's going online.
Mhm.
What can someone do, to actually able to like manage everything so that it can be balanced?
You mean the whole mix is distorted, or just one channel is
Maybe
giving you
like two or three
distortion?
channels.
Are giving you
Yes,
are hot.
yes,
They are in the red.
yes.
So, before you answer this question, I want
Okay.
to know if there is what's it called, a device that measures this.
Yes,
LEOs.
there is a software
Okay.
that measures it. So, but we'll get into that later. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay,
So,
you mentioned that some channels are in the red, they are clipping, and then it's affecting your mix. Like we said yesterday, you have to first of all get a good gain structure, and your gain staging must be 100. So to avoid during the show, you now start seeing somebody in the red, and it's not like the instrument is somebody that has its own control of volume. Because I think I was yesterday when Ben was taking the session, somebody mentioned that somebody is increasing their own volume, like especially we know them, the pianist, the bassist, and the oga of them all, guitarists. They have effects better. They can put on their limiter to plus 20 dB. You know, first of all, you have to address that before you even go into oh, let us now EQ or let us mix. That's why you have sound check. But then if you don't have a good sound check or a quite reasonable amount of sound check, you might fall into that trap during the show. And let's keep in mind that during sound check, you tell them play performance mode.
some of them say
Because
some
so
of them say that they don't want to.
Fully no basis, they will never give you their full volume
That
during
is
sound
it.
check.
They say that they don't want to like. They not.
that's why as an audio engineer, you should know you have your ways to be wicked. Be wicked sometimes. Just somebody says, "Oh, give me volume." I said, "No problem. Take volume." But when the show want to start, I bring you down. Then you now start playing, and then by the time the show wants to start, they bumped up their volume to the highest, and they want to give you heart attack. But then me, I've already countered that when I drop the volume. Or if it's that they are using IEM and they are requesting for more volume, I just push it, or they are using monitors, or I just push them up first to satisfy them. Because at the end of the day, it's because of them that we are mixing. If you don't have a bassist, you cannot know how to mix bass. If you don't have drums, you cannot know how to mix drums. If you don't have all different instruments, they are the reason why we can call ourselves mix engineers. So you and some of this sometimes, yeah, like Ben said, yes, it's psychological. They just want you to listen to them. They just want to be heard. Say, please give me volume. Okay. I don't do anything. But then just because you answered them, they feel like yes, he has given me what I want. But in this your case, they know what they are doing. They just chill for you. When the service starts, I will do my own. So right there and there, I'll give you a solution to this now, and it's would say an unconventional solution. Like I said, it is not every time that you follow, you can break the rules. You know, yesterday I was saying, don't touch your gain knob, don't touch your gain knob. This time, you have to touch the gain knob and save yourself from distortion. But then, if they now complain that it's not loud enough, I do not know what I can do to help you. You have to find, like we said yesterday, know your space. There's more to just being an audio engineer. You also have to be a therapist self. To all these guys, they just need somebody. Some just need someone to talk to. I've just been, I don't know. As instrumentalists, they face a lot of pressure, you know. They have to score song, you know. They have to meet up. If not, their MD will sack them. All this kind of pressure. They're like superstars, so you know the pressure is so much on them. But we are just in the background, just looking at all of them. So sometimes, like I said, you have to just be their therapist, you know. Talk to them. What's going on? Brother, you always increase your guitar. Why do you do this to me? Have a conversation. Don't be that engineer that just sits on his board and they tell you, Ava, and you just carry your face away. Don't be an arrogant audio engineer. It will not take you far in this space. Be humble. I can't count how many times during events somebody from the audience just walk up to me and say, oh man, I know they hear this guitar.
As you said, I said you work.
And in my mix, I'm okay with the guitar. So what do I do in such cases? Because at the end of the day, who am I mixing for? Is it for myself, to enjoy myself? It's for them now. It's for the audience. You see all those, you know, our egbons in the game. They tell you that while they mix, they look at the audience reaction. They watch, because it's music. It should make them feel something. And if they are not feeling it, if you are mixing and then you look at the audience and they are doing like this, what does that mean? That means it's either too loud or it is harsh. So you have to fix that. All those kind of things, nobody really tells you. They don't teach that in mixing school. They don't teach that in school. They don't teach. You have to be able to read people's emotions and say, oh, this person walk close to me, say, oh mo, I know they feel this thing. I want they feel am. What does it mean by he wants to feel the music? It's probably talking about your low end. He wants the kick to punch him in the face or in his chest. It should blow him away. That's what he wants. So managing, I call it managing client expectations too. You know, especially if it's the person that gave you the work, and then the person is biased. Let me get to this. Let me just quickly touch on this bias of everybody in this life has a bias. Everybody. If me, I like to hear more bass in my own, and you are a drummer, like Omo, I don't hear these drums. I can't hear these drums. I can't hear the snare. I can't hear the kick. But then you are like, I like it like this. I like it the way it is. You feel like it's, and then somebody else comes in, another engineer, and then brings up the drums. So like, why is this drum low like this? No, bring up the drums. And then that your bass that you like, just drop it. This bass is too much. That's the bias. Everybody has that. Every engineer has that. You have to be aware of this if you want to go far in the industry. If you are not aware of the bias that everybody has and the bias of even your clients and your audience, you will suffer because you will complain. And when a client that gave you job tells you that, and they just have two things to tell you. It's either it's a good show or more, the sound was just bad. They don't want to be in the middle. It's either it's good or it's bad. Some even use terrible. Sound was terrible. Now you have to be your own therapist because you have to console yourself. Because you in your head you like, oh, it mixes. Bam, this mixes 100. Everything just sitting where it's supposed to sit. Deceive yourself. Whatever the client says, is the client tell you, talking drum, quota, it's not hitting me, it's not slapping my ear like this. You have to adjust, my brother. Adjust. That's why before you go for, or before you mix for some bands, performers, churches, know their biases, know what they like. You cannot go to a CAC now and be increasing keyboard over talking drum for a year. When talking drum is the music and percussion, everything. They want to hear other percussion over every other thing. And then you are coming from, logic. Then you are increasing the bass, you are pushing up the snare. You're talking in the talking drum, you talk it in the mix. Okay. They will sack you. You won't come back again because at the end of the day, just say, I don't even like that engineer. Terrible. Even if everything was sounding right, terrible mix. Yeah, I'm sure.
Now, for this bias problem, how do you solve this kind of issue? That was an issue I had. I was not with
Mike, please. This person, Mike. So,
Okay, so check. Okay, so how do you solve this kind of issue? Now you are at a gig, you
okay.
get sound check as band, and you are fine with all of your
Yeah.
volume levels and all of that, your monitors,
Mm-hmm.
and the show eventually starts, and the organizer comes and is like, I'm not comfortable with what I'm hearing. And you guys playing the music on your own stage, you guys are fine.
It's not number one. Where is he listening from? He's not listening from the stage now.
Sure, sure.
He's listening from the house. So whatever the mix engineer has mixed in the house is now the problem. And then the mix engineer needs to understand, oh, what's this client trying to say before you start being arrogant, like don't know anything. Because that's how engineers have. You just look at somebody, just come and tell you, I can't hear the guitar. Just look, give him one side eye. Then just leave my side, please. So you have to listen to the client and the organizer. I'm like, what do you mean by you are not feeling it, or can you explain what you mean by this? I mean, in live situations, it's not so much time. That's why I said before you go for a gig or a show or a performance or to mix for them, you ask questions like what kind of mix do you like? What makes you jump up when you hear somebody mix? Like what in the music do you like the most? Or is it that me I like talking drum? Because there's nobody on earth that you ask that they will not tell you they like one instrument more. So it's just like knowing your challenges before you even step into the space to even try to make sense. Just knowing what you should look out for. Yeah. It's just like a chef, he knows that his client does not like salt or doesn't like pepper. But then his Yoruba instinct kicks in and started adding pepper to smoothie. Now tell me how the client will feel. The client, your time there will be very short-lived because you are soon going to be sacked. So, and that's why I said mixing is not one fit. I come like um in a church I know in this Accra space. The pastor likes bass more than any other thing. He doesn't care whether the audience doesn't like bass. Give me bass. He will type it 20 times on the group. The bass is not loud. It's not okay. What's wrong with bass? But somebody in the audience even telling you that this bass is too much. Oh. My chest is just doing kiki. But your pastor does what? Who employed you? Please, who? Okay. Because as you have to also be business oriented. Who employed you? Have you satisfied your client first? Before you start satisfying, you have to find that balance. Find that balance. Oh, I satisfy the client, I satisfy myself, I satisfy the audience. I'm satisfying, trying to satisfy the MD that says the MD and backups. I can't hear the backups. These backups are enough. I can't hear. They are here. The MDs. They are here in our midst. I can't hear the backups. Please, can you just bring up the backups a bit? Even though the backups are singing off key. No. I want to hear all the backups. So how do you manage all of that in your mix and still be happy with yourself? Sometimes you have to forfeit your happiness or your own satisfaction for theirs. You must be selfless in this industry because at the end of the day, they are why you are here. Because of them that you are here. So have I answered the question? Yeah. It's time to move into the virtual mixing. We are done with this segment. Like I said, today we are just going to do a lot of mixing, like hands-on experience on how to approach all of this. But then it's not like we have the band here. So we have a virtual mix that we run to the system and then now start EQing using these tools that we have, EQ, compressor, noise gates, all of that to manage, all of this to give us a good mix. Are we good? Any other question ringing in our minds before we move on to the next segment? Ava, any other question? Any question? Okay. All right, sir.
Do you EQ your speakers to your room for any of the events you have?
Yes, I do that all the what? All the time.
I didn't get the question. Does
He said, do you EQ your PAs to your room? Meaning that do you EQ your PAs to suit your room? I was waiting for somebody to ask this question since. But I know that it's also a level. There are levels to this thing. You cannot. There are levels to it. So now this question I said is very, very vital. Like I was mentioning to us yesterday. I don't know if everybody was still here yesterday, but when I was mentioning that there are different parts to audio production. There is the mix engineers. So that it is here that it's one person that is doing everything. Every damn thing. The engineer said it's drum tech. So, there's a FOH engineer, stage engineer, RF engineer. There's drum tech. There's what they call system tech. So these people, this is a system. A mixer, the PAs is a system. I mean, for more advanced setups, you have the processors, your PA processors. That's your PA processors, the ones that process your PAs. Unlike this one, they have their own processor, they have their own DSPs in them. Yeah, they have their own DSPs. What is DSP? Signal process. So these ones have their own DSPs, but then for a much bigger system, you need a dedicated system PA processor or management. You hear somebody say PA management or speaker management. So all that is an external gear that manages your PA or your system. It has this basic.
Is it the same portion with the sound management?
Yes, sound management, speaker management, G management, all of them are managing your system. So it has the same tools that we use. It has the EQ in it. It has the compressor. It has even the limiter. That's why you see that. I don't know whether we've experienced it or we've ever done this on that scale. Some people use or get some speakers, and then you see that even no matter how much you push your volume, the speakers will not get louder. That's because there's a limiter in their system. Like I said, what does a limiter do?
Does not let the sound goes beyond the
Particular threshold.
threshold.
So let's say I set my limiter at -5 dB. I set the threshold of my limiter at -5 dB. No matter how much I push my volume into that limiter, it's not going to go beyond -5 dB. So our speaker management also has limiter in them. So some people, they don't know, they are not aware of this, and then they find out maybe they get PAs that are not sufficient for their space, and then they want to push it a little bit more. It's not going to work because those PAs have what they call limiters, or in your speaker management, there's a limiter that will prevent you from pushing those PAs above a particular threshold. Some speakers come with it, like some speakers have a limiter.
So it's
Active,
like
yeah.
a form of protector so that the PAs will not get bumped.
Something like that, yes. Mostly in actives, though, not in passive. Passive is just going through. And that's why people use speaker management, so that they can also. I mean, if you push your PAs louder than its capacity, you should expect that it's going to blow up. And there's a lot that goes into. There's a lot of physics behind a speaker burning, because there's this misconception that this knob, that gain knob on the amplifier, is what burns or blows up speakers. I can arguably say that it's not. It is not. It is not what blows up your speaker. There's a lot of things that goes into a speaker being frying. They will say it's fry the Twitter, you don't burn the Twitter. There's a lot of things that go into that. Yeah. You might there's what they call resistance or resistivity. You just might have crossed the limits of the home's resistivity of your amplifier, and then because what the home resistivity does, it protects your speakers from getting fried. You just might have crossed the limit of it, and then you didn't know. They just said you can add this amp if it carries 6 speakers, and then you plug 6 speakers, you connect them. That is another aspect of system management. That is for. Thank you very much for that. So, in master class, you'll be able to get to know more of all of that. So, a system tech is one that tunes your PAs, manages the system, the speaker management, all of that, and make sure your PA sounds good in your space. Like I said, I tune my PAs all the time. Even these PAs are tuned for this room. Even these PAs, tune your PA to fit, and that's part of knowing your space, your venue. You tune your PAs to fit that venue, because you might get to a venue and then it's very reverby, and then when there's so much reverb, that means you will lose your high frequencies a lot much faster than. Then there will now be what they call low end build up in that hall, and then when they praise the Lord, you now hear oh whoa 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 whoa, hear that hollow sound in your hall. Just know that you're in trouble. When you hear that hollow sound in your in your church, your venue, just know you're what? In trouble, because you will tune and you will use a lot of speakers. This mostly happens in untreated, spaces, and then even big spaces, halls. Yeah, a lot of halls have that. And that's where you get what they call hall reverb, studio reverb, types of reverb. Go on. Masterclass, or go and read up on that. Types of reverb, hall reverb, plate reverb, but then, but your hall reverb is simply them just recording a hall and how impulses react inside that hall, and then that's why in this age and time now, you can produce a track in the studio and then somebody makes it sound like as if you're in a stadium. Like, how do you do it? It's an emulation of how a hall sounds. So they just use all the emulation of how a hall sounds and incorporate it into their mix, and then makes it sound like it's a live production. Whereas overdub, they don't use overdub finisher. So, where is system tuning or PA tuning? So you tune your PAs to fit that room, and there are ways to know that, to know how your PAs relate. There are tools, there are measurement tools to see and to hear, but of all the tools, your ears are very powerful. Are the most. There are many times I don't use any. I just use my ears. I just listen. Number one, you should know how your PAs sound. Like naturally, you should know they are what they call frequency charts. Like yesterday, Ben was showing us the frequency response. You saw one chart that just went like this, and you saw the frequency range from 20K to 20 hertz. You saw it in chart. Oh, you saw numbers on that. You saw how see that frequency chart. Every PA has that, and that is like out of the box how they sound or how they relate to the human ears. So if you see a box or a PA that has a boost, a high shelf, I believe we all know what high shelf is now. Are you? You know what high shelf is? You're not around.
Yeah, okay,
We're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
EQ.
yeah.
You remember now? You don't remember?
Where we have the low shelf, the high shelf, the low cost.
Low cut, high cut. Yes, I showed you yesterday. Now. So imagine that that PA has a high shelf from like 7K to 20K, and that's how the makers of the PA produce the PA to sound a bright speaker. Let's say it has it to like 5 dB increase, and then you carry that PA and you expect it to have sub. You expect the PA to, let's say the low frequency, in the low frequency chart of that PA, it rolls off around 80 hertz and just slowly goes and ends at, let's say, 50. It's the slope is going down from 80 hertz. So imagine that kind of PA. That kind of PA will not give you sub frequencies now, because where are the sub frequencies? And then you are expecting that we go heavy. It cannot be heavy because the PA is not designed to produce heavy sound. It's not designed to produce low frequencies. Do you understand? It's just like expecting these PAs now to be giving you very sound that can hit your chest, sound that can hit my chest. It's not possible. They are not designed for that purpose. So, first of all, know the make of your product, know what it can do before you just carry the PA. You first of all have to know how sound translates in the hall. Once you know how sound translates in that hall, then you now get the right PA to address or to have full coverage in the hall. Because that's the goal as an audio engineer, for you to have full coverage in that hall. Not that you play your PA and then play through your PA and then some in the back you cannot hear it. Your job is not yet done, sir. So from start point of the audience to the back, as full coverage. Your PA should have full coverage. So now if you are not getting full coverage, that means you have a problem. You don't have what? Sufficient PAs, or you didn't position your speakers properly. So know the whole, how sound translates in it. Get sufficient PAs for full coverage of that place. And when you mean sufficient PAs, I mean PAs that will counterbalance whatever problem frequencies that you have, because every hall has its own. Eh? Yeah, there are a lot of quality players that might not fit into every room. It's not necessarily, but it has to be quality. Don't get me wrong. Don't go and carry somebody that did pako, and just put that. I'm not shading anybody, but locally made, because that some that they even have the Twitter outside of the box. You know that. Oh, you will tune that PA. So quality speakers, but the right fit. So many halls don't even have the right fit for their, and then they are complaining the sound is not just good in this hall. You did not even buy the right speakers for your hall in the first place. And when they call people like us and we build them, they complain and they cry. Say, "Ah, this money is too much." It's your hall now. It's not me. I'm not the problem here. It's your hall that is the problem. And I'll just say this. It's not something that is part of the you know training. I'll just say this. For halls like that, try to get, I mean, a quick fix to that is to get materials that can absorb, that absorbs sound, like a thick, heavy drape, curtains. If you do that, it will help your sound drastically. It will change, and that's why I just look at churches, some churches or some venues that just use tiles everywhere, or just decorate the place with tiles. Oh God. Oh my God. There's then your church is sounding like a bathroom space. You know, even a library is far, far better than your church because it has books that things that can absorb the sound. But every surface is just hard, just reflecting on each other, just bouncing off each other. So a, in a hall that you have a lot of frequencies just jumping all around, I would advise that you get curtains, heavy ones, not your room curtain, oh, very heavy, thick curtains. Put them on. Then some just even leave their window just open again. You are just inviting more trouble for yourself. To cover your, I know some people say we don't want the church to be dark, but then those churches that you see that are dark inside, the problem is not that they don't want light inside the church. They are trying to address these reflective surfaces that sound just bounces all over. So they put drapes on the glass, in front of the glass, so that it can absorb the sound. Because if it just hits the glass directly, it's just bouncing up and just catching all over the place. You understand? So all these things are just like little solutions, like quick fix to get. And rug, please, as much as possible. If you can rug the whole altar, make it as much as possible. Things that can absorb. You cannot afford to buy reflectors and panels, and so these are our own solution in this part of the world to all of that. And then if you are not the engineer that they just invited, or a mix engineer, they just invited, come and mix. They did not tell you the hall that you are going to, because it happens. Some of our promoters and our vendors, they just, when they call you, say, "Are you free? Prophets, you free Wednesday?" "Yeah, I'm free." I'm looking for the pay now. You go there, you meet a hall that has 3 seconds. Then then the person says ha, and ha ha ha. The hall has its own delay. My brother, you're in real trouble. Because you have to now place speakers everywhere just to counterbalance that, just to fight against the delay that happens, and the way sound bounces off. Because like Ben said yesterday, high frequencies don't travel far. And that is why in halls you have that low frequency build up. Because the low frequencies, there's nowhere to go. They just dancing around the hall. They just like, yes, this is my time. They just keep playing around the hall. But high frequencies, once you go 2 feet, 3 feet, they are gone. If there is now obstacle in front of them, they won't even move too far. So, and what we are trying to achieve is what? Full, full what? Coverage. And when you mean full coverage, that means from your highs to your low, from the front to the back. You already know that your low frequencies move further. So you need more PAs, and then you need more PAs, and then you are not boosting the low of those PAs, because what are you looking for low again? You need more PAs, bright PAs, so that your high frequencies can now travel all over the room. You understand? That's a quick fix for, in case you cannot get heavy curtains, in case you don't have reflectors, you don't have panels, you don't have all of the so just position enough PAs to have full coverage. And that's, some people, I just see them, they quote for, or they ask them, oh, some engineers, we know them, our local guys, they ask them, come and set up in this place. They say, this small place, pillar met 32. I say, two pillars, fine, you are fine. And they don't even know the reverb, how long the reverb of that hall is. They just look at the size with their eyes. They don't hear how sound relates in that place. If you look at your back now, you see a wall of absorbers. A wall, I repeat. It's not it's not because we like the way the boxes look that way. It's because we are trying to address the amount of hard surfaces that sound bounces off. You understand? So yeah, let's not spend too much time on that. We'll go for a quick 15 minutes break, get water, get whatever I want to, and then we'll come back and move on from there. Are we good? Yeah. Thank you.
yesterday, but it's actually very important, and I'm here to give you some additional technical story, right? So yesterday I couldn't cover something and felt this is like a better opportunity to do that. So it's about IAM mix, right? And oftentimes we are still currently in the fight of some musicians not wanting to use in-ears. Most musicians, right, apart from drummer, tend to pull out one ear, right? Why IAM might not be very comfortable, right, for some people. That's why some people also go for headphones. Someone like me, I would do headphone over plugging my ears. One, I know my ears are sweaty, right, and all of that, but that's not the bone of contention for today. So, just some tips, right? I think so far so good. The gears we are going to see around us for in-ear monitoring system are this dude, and a P16 that is not here right now. And I know we are limited in a way, right? But when you can, I'm speaking from the point of where I am, where we are right now. But anytime, any day, if you tell me to mix IAM, I will go for a stereo mix for everybody. The reason is because God had created us to have 2 ears for a reason. So as far as my FOH engineer would not say, I just want 1P at one side, same would be for me. But I think the reason why some engineers do mono mix are 2 factors: because of clients' budgets and because of limitations of the board they are on at the time. There's an event we did, I think one of the most technical events we've done so far, where we used 3 consoles, right? But you would have believed that these 3 consoles are one for stage, one for front of house, and the other one for live stream. That's not the case. Very, very wrong. And we only got to know that we need an additional console when we were at the patch B, when we started patching. Then we got to know that our client's input channel is more than 32. And we don't have another wing that will do that. So,
I don't think they know that Wing. Some of them don't know that Wing does more than this.
okay, Wing does more than 32 channel. Wing does 48 channel, and each fader on Wing is a stereo fader. Unlike this now, if you want a stereo mix, 2 fader is gone, right? So, or 2 faders are gone rather. So, at that point, we were like, you know what? And one thing about us is it is possible, it is doable. We need an additional console. So what we did was we used 2 consoles on stage, linked to each other by certain protocols, right? And then each of those engineers have a group and individuals they mix for. And those both engineers can communicate with each other. Though we did not, it wasn't because of a stereo mix we did that, it was because of input channel. So what we did was we needed to look for a solution to meet our limitation, right? But there are also limitations for in-ear monitor. So if you check the back of this board, right? If you check the back of this board, you will see we have 8 outputs, right? So if you are going to do 8 outputs, so if you are going to do stereo mix all through, you would only be able to serve 4 people. So if your band member, there are 4, that is fine, right? But in the case where you have like 7 band members, you have no choice than to either tell your clients, or your clients most times, I mean, why do we need an additional console? Right? So, but when you can do stereo, that's one rule of thumb. Now, when you can, yes, do stereo for every. When you can do stereo for your IEMs, yeah. No, some. I mean, some. The only instrument top of my head right now that I know does stereo line or stereo source is keyboard, the guitars. I don't think there's another one again. Remind me. Drum input source. Yeah. So yeah, sampler, your loop, and all of that. That's because there are elements, right, in all of those. So take for example now, let me use your, say maybe you have a stem, right? Definitely it's going to come from like left, right. And it's been mixed and panned. Some elements are panned to the left, some are panned to the right. Now, if you're doing a mono, everything is coming. The same audio signal coming in here is the same audio signal coming in here. And one disadvantage of that, right, is there is a perception of more volume in your ears when you're mixing stereo. Because if I put in one ear, it's not different from putting in 2 ears. So it's more like you are doubling one channel and sending it to. Sorry, you are sending a single channel to both ears. So it's like I'm listening to the same thing here and listening to the same thing here, right? But when you're using like a stereo mix, there is a. So this is how panning works, right? Panning is from 0 to 100, 0 to plus 100, 0 to minus 100. And when you're mixing stereo, you have the leverage to put certain elements, right, to fall in between that range of 0 to 100. Now, I'll use an example. And this is the case when you have your separate board for mixing stage, right? Because if you are using the same board, right, you are at the mercy of the stereo input channel, the panning of the input channel that whichever main primary console is using. But if you have a separate mix, you can say my input channel drums should be pan 60, then thumb 1 rather minus 60, thumb 2 plus 60. That way you've created room for other elements on stage, other instruments on stage to come in. Then you can say my guitar should be at, if your lead guitar is stereo, my guitar should be at minus 30 left, then plus 30 right, you get. But if you're doing mono, everything is coming in the same way. So that way your mix in the ear is more balanced as compared to your mono mix, right? So that's why I said when you can do stereo, if you have the leverage, do it. But in the case where you don't have the opportunity to do stereo mix, right? There are some things I think you can do to still hit the ground running, as the case may be, right? So first thing, right, is you need to understand, if you're mixing in ears, right, you need to understand the way I spoke about understanding the direction of each microphones. In ears are like PAs. The way you need to understand how your PA relates in a room, you also need to understand the type of IEM you're using. And I will cite an example. This dude here, this is EDX Pro, I think DQ6. You see, we have, when we say high frequency, low frequency, and all of that. You see, that thing we call subwoofer, the thing we call woofer, actually, in real sense, it's a driver. Like, so we have like, you hear some people, they'll say the tweeter is burnt. Technically, the right word to use is the high frequency driver is gone. Like, the tweeter gives that chiseling sound and all of that. So your IEMs too, they have drivers actually. That is how they work. They have the low end driver, they have the high end driver, as the case may be. I think this particular one has about 6 different drivers. Now, I would use this dude for, I'll give this to a bassist instead of a lead guitarist. Why? Because the bassist needs more heaviness, right? Compared to other IAMs that have maybe 3 drivers or 2 drivers, right? Now, what that gives me leverage on is the driver is already helping me add more low, like it has more low-end driver, right, as compared to other IAMs that don't. That's one thing. You need to understand the IAM you're using. For example, our drummer in church, at times I solo his ears and he tells me, my drum is not loud enough. I'll be like, what I'm listening here is better, right? So when I go to his place and see that, okay, it's actually true, I look at the type of IAM he's using, and what I do is, because we use this, right? And the reason I prefer this for musicians is because I have, apart from my processing on my board, right, I can easily just turn up this has a bass knob that is increasing more low frequency, and this has a treble knob, like the mid frequency most of the time. And most of the time I find myself increasing those knobs for like the basses, the talking drummer, the drummer. Once I check the type of IAM they use, you get. So that's something you need to consider, right? Now, your IAMs too, right? They have your IAMs. They have their frequency range, right? You also need to understand. So one thing happening is the in-ear E is using. This has a more lower frequency range as compared to his. So that is why I can hear more low end here and tell him, bro, what I'm sending to you is actually good, but yes, his own in-ear is not responding the same way. So musicians, don't just buy any kind of in-ear. Know what you want to use it for, or better still, buy one that has more wider range, right? So the new ones we use right now, they are more warm, right? They are not loud or give that heavy chiseling sound. So understand your IAM. Now, some mixing techniques, right, for everybody's ear is, for me, I start everything at 0, like at unity, my faders, right, after all processing has been done. And I look out more for what they should not hear. That's what I do first. So I would use the drummer, for example, right? Okay, let me just talk. I'll use the drummer, for example. The drummer, most of the time for us, drum takes about 10 channels, right? And, okay, so they are ready, and I might need to leave soon. So drum takes about 10 channel. What I do is, I said something about team players yesterday, right? And how they work together. That same thing I bring it to, because if I'm a team, if we are working as a team, right, I want to, in my mix, I want the guys in my team to be more prominent than other people. That is why a drummer and a bassist, right? The drummer needs to hear some. And another thing is preference. For me, if I'm playing drums, while I have team players, at times when you are on a pitch, I like the thing is I'm giving this terminology in terms of football. We all understand how football works, right? And maybe I have a family member somewhere in the what do they call the people that watch ball again? Please remind me. The spectators, the fans, right? Maybe if my morale is going low, my team member might not be the one to boost my morale. It might be maybe some of my fans. My own fan, when I'm playing, is the aux, keys, and the lead guitar. I understand that I have my team player, right? Because when I'm playing drums, yes. Because those, yes, is weird. That is why I said the aux, sorry, the bass guitar rather. The aux key and the bass guitar, right? The aux key and the bass guitar. Those are, the bass guitar is my team player, right? The aux guy is someone that gives me passion, provided the person knows what he's doing. Do you understand? Provided the person knows what they are doing. So you need to understand the preference of each person in the team. Okay? Because some drummer don't want their drum in their ears at all. Yes. There are some drummer that don't want their drums in their ears at all. They tell you, just give me the loop or stem or whatever it is. That's all they want to hear. So don't, and main keys, don't say because you are the monitor engineer, you must put drum in it. Like you must hear this drum by fire by force. Some drummer don't want it. You get. Then there are some drummers that what they just want is the kick and the snare. So you need to understand the preference of each. The drum is one of the, every other instrumentalist wants to hear themselves. So the thing is, the preference is, they are, what I do is, I prioritize their instrument. I'll prioritize the loop as well. Because definitely every one of them needs to be on time. And I also look at them. If the drummer makes mistake, maybe twice or thrice, I go and check his channel to see, is it like he doesn't have enough loop in his ears or something in that frequency range. So you also need to understand that there are instruments in the same frequency range. Like guitar falls in the same frequency range as vocals as well. So they might be masking each other. So you need to understand, okay, now this is where your balancing skills come in. You need to understand when you should have more vocals in someone's ears than when you should have more lead guitar, as the case may be. And one thing I try to do, this is the last thing, I don't have too much time, is for me, I try to do, I try to compress on my IEMs. The reason is because so that when they start going all out and loud and all, once they start hitting that compressor, it doesn't, the loudness don't pop into their ears. Last thing is feedback. Try to ensure, that's why feedback is not, when you're using IEM, feedback is not, because you have your flow monitor and you are getting feedback. If you get feedback in your IEM, it's going straight into your ears, right? So that needs to be resolved, right? So that's why you need to address feedback very well. Yes.
From other sources here, not from your instrument.
So the thing is, let me explain how it works. The floor wedge, right? The way feedback works is I speak into a floor wedge. That floor wedge creates a loop. It's going to reproduce that sound back into the microphone, and that microphone is going into someone's ears. So that is how feedback goes to their ears. So, any other question? I have to run. Okay, so Slick. I believe later I should, maybe one of these other days, we should have a more hands-on session on mixing for master class for IAMs. So
Let's put our hands together for my guy. Thank you so much for that word, for those words of wisdom. I appreciate you, sir. Hold on. All right. Okay. Mike, please.
All right. So we're talking about stereo mix for in-ear monitors. So for like this power play now, I know maybe there might be a trick to achieving stereo mix, but I know that P2 has like a switch
yes, so
inside of it that helps you switch from mono to.
if you check your power,
Same as this too.
Okay, it does.
You see we have mono left, mono right.
Okay.
Most of the time you press both
To
to have your stereo.
stereo.
Because
Okay.
the thing is not the configuration they did in the TRS. This is a TRS.
TRS, yeah.
It's not a
It's
TS.
not mono. It's not TS.
Sorry. Some people don't know what is this TS, TRS, TS. Maybe they are. We think some think that we are saying course, CSP. Yeah.
Okay, so it's just
Your
like
jack.
we
So,
have the mono jack, we have the stereo jack. So
so the stereo jack is the TRS, the mono is the TS.
and for musicians that you are looking to record your IEM, tell your church to get one of this. It's easier for you to record your line as well.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
for stereo, you just do mono left, mono right. Then that you would get like stereo mix from there. Provided you are using a stereo IEM or that has most IEM has this, but you need a converter. So provided you are using this TRS converter, you should be able to.
Using a
Mike,
stereo jack.
Mike,
Using a stereo jack for using a stereo jack for a guitar, is it possible? Because there's I had this issue. There was one time I was trying to connect our keyboard. You understand? I bought a stereo jack, but unfortunately the thing did not even give me any sound until I converted it. Probably I changed the jack to a mono jack before it started giving me sound. But then if I remove the stereo jack to a certain extent, it will give me sound. So what is the issue there?
So your keyboard, right?
Yes.
Most times your keyboard are built mono channel. You will see if you check the back of your keyboard, your left is always your mono channel. They will write mono or L, right? So plugging your stereo jack to your L won't give you stereo output, because I believe the ring of the keyboard is not stereo, right? So it has to be two left right gives you that particular stereo. So maybe you pulling it out, because this also has, like, this is TRS is tip, ring, and sleeve. So maybe the point where it gives you sound, you have pulled to the point where you have TS. The top of my head, I think that's what is happening. Same thing your guitar as well. That's why the guitar, they have like their effect pedal. Some effect pedal are mono, some are stereo, right? But coming from their guitar into the effect pedal is mono, right? So it's that effect pedal that then converts like to stereo. Same thing would apply.
So is it possible to know what type of what's it called? If either it is mono or stereo,
You mean-
the kind of effect that
You-
gives either mono or
You
stereo.
ask the guitarist,
Okay.
what effect pedal are you
Okay.
coming with?
All right.
Then maybe if he gives you the model, you make your research, is it a stereo? Or then just ask him, is your mono pedal a stereo or mono?
Okay.
Right.
Okay, all right.
And do confirm if because I know we had a situation where the effect pedal of the guy, I think that was a kitty. was making noise, even after using DI box. So in that case, as Sheon said, at times you just have to be wicked. So I'm telling you, yo, just take out the effect pedal because it's affecting our work. So you're, as a mix engineer on stage, you have a lot of discussion to do with your musicians, like a lot, both before and during and after. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Question.
Yeah, so on this device, that power play,
Okay.
if we are adjusting a frequency for a particular in-ear, it will only take effect on that,
Yes.
not on the entire.
Not on the entire.
Okay,
So
that's-
another thing is it's not frequency per se, more like you are boosting a range of frequency. So it has bass, like a range of frequencies. When you are boosting that whole. They know how they configured it. You can make your research as well. So it only has to bass and treble.
But that
I don't
effect
think
is
why you
only-
want to boost high end in someone's ear.
Maybe that person has gone to plenty shows.
Only in that case you get. So thank you.
Oh yeah, clap your hands. Thank you so much, sir. You have said it all, sir. So we are moving straight into the virtual mix. Just give me another short minute while I route this whole thing. And if you have any question, you can still ask. Oh, I have a question on this, I have questions. Maybe while I'm doing that, I can just answer your questions. The person that said they don't know what the GI looks like is not here. Okay, you are here. But you didn't ask again now. You still ask. I promised you that I'll bring one. So this is a Mackie MDB 2P stereo passive DI box.
You add the name.
So it's a stereo passive DI box. So it can also be split into two mono. I mean, what is stereo? Two mono. So that, to answer that your question, the person's body is most likely a mono effect pedal, but then you went to plug in stereo jack. Like I said, we will call it TRS. You want to plug in stereo jack into it, so it will not accommodate that. It might just be one side or give you or just cancel it or something. So this is a passive DI. There are two types of DI boxes: active and passive. Active requires what? Phantom power, your 48 volts, and then your passive doesn't require. Some people, when they hear DI, they just turn on phantom power. They don't even know whether it's passive or it's active. They just turn it on. I pray that your equipment does not blow one day from phantom power. So basically, this turns unbalanced signal to balanced. And what is unbalanced signal? Unbalanced signals are not mono. Unbalanced signals are your TRS and your TS cables. That's your jack. Your jack is unbalanced. Your XLR is balanced. Do you understand? Is it confusing? It's confusing. You know what an XLR is now? Give him the mic.
So if you check this guy, you know there are three cables inside this tube. need a male to TS. You get. You need Y cable, like any cable you can think of. Just have them in threes and all. In the case where you need to use a RTA mic to take measurement of sound, please do. But also, you need your ears. That's the first number one tool for all engineers is your ears, which God has given you already. So you need that. Okay. So in a particular, so RTA mics are not. While I will have you to make your research as well, right? They are different from this microphone, right? They are more like mic guns to take measurements of sound frequencies. So most of the time, they point it to the PA to see how it responds, then make any EQ adjustment that they need to do to it. Yeah. So, not like how the sound, how the PA is responding in the room. Yeah. What other tool do you need? I think as you move on, any day you go to a show and you don't have, there's a particular gear you don't have before the next show, you purchase. I mean, cable tester is very, very important. Yeah, cable tester is very, very important as well. Then you need plier, soldering iron, and tester, screwdriver. Because yes, you will lose and tie. Yeah, you need those. Like yes, you need testers. You need, of course, if you have your soldering iron, you also need to get your lead. I mean, I don't know what you use to solder if you don't have a lead. What else? Yeah, you need extension boxes, right? You need power cables, siphons. You need siphons. Technically, everything that you use in your, of course, you don't need your P. You get, but any accessory that you use in your day-to-day, right? You definitely need them. But the thing is, only purchase as the need arises, right? So you don't, because I mean, go buy an RTA mic when you don't really have need for it. You get, so as time goes, you know the things that you need to buy. That's it. Any other question? Thank you. You need a battery pack. Yes, battery.
Check. All right, guys. Sorry for that abrupt heart attack that I give all of us. Somebody here has this thing now. Bad person if you don't faint. Apparently, signals here are too hot. Signals here are too hot. Playing back from. Don't worry, very soon you hear do, kick, snare. And that's all of us are waiting for. What is compressor? What is compressor? Whoa. That one is not really my concern. Okay. I think the problem is from the connection. Everything is basically sorted enough. Going to turn everything. Let me just fix it here. We found this guy.
The cable can later work.
Yeah, it will. What happened to this one again? Oh. That side not there. Well. I found the this thing. Let me plug on. Let me remove it and plug it back. Okay.
Which of your screen can you see?
It's not there. What's in my screen? Increase it. Nothing's in it.
Still same thing.
So there is same thing. Thank you from here then.
Are you going to use a separate one?
Eh?
Which mix is this? Which multi-track is this?
It's the song I mixed last. That praise system.
The Ikitium. So this AC is okay like this.
No, it's not. It's increased it. Abi?
Why you look this? I should go for it now, but I just let it check.
I don't want this now. To play dots here.
Yeah. Which one's from here? I usually just PA.
Not the PA. Yesterday I tested it.
Like after this, that's in somewhere.
Yeah. Yesterday I tested it.
All right. So, all right. So I have this question. We were talking about meter levels yesterday. Yeah. That were like your meter level should not be entering orange, not to talk of red on your. All right. So now in a situation where so it's two questions. In a situation where your meter level is entering red, you select that particular bus, send or feeder, and you drop as much as you can. You're still seeing that red. One, what can be the cause? That's one. Then two, that red, can it cause your, like, okay, let's assume it's the FOH that's giving the red. Can that read on the meter cause your FOH to cut off?
A troubleshooting technique would be first know where, if it is like a channel, right, that is, from your question, right, if it's a channel metering you're looking at, address that meter first. Possibly what could be happening is your gain structure on that channel is not so good. You get? So you might want to start from there. And there's no rule of thumb that your meter should not enter yellow. But when it's getting to red, then there's a problem. You get? So now, will it make your speaker cut? Right? It's more like some PAs don't have limiters. Limiters are, okay, you know what? I'm going past, maybe I'm sending in 100 into this guy. And this guy is saying, if you like, send 200 into me. I won't push more than 80. You get? Some PAs don't. So for the PAs that don't, and at times, if you are lucky enough to burn your limiter components, then your PAs is close to frying. Because nothing will happen to your console actually. Your console will just be giving the fire out. You get? The guy that will take the fire is this. So yes, there's an high chance that your PA might go. You can fry your PA. Yeah. So then if it is a bus that is giving that, if it's like an output, right, what you want to do first is, what are the inputs going into that output? You go through all of them first, right, and see the problematic one, because most times it's the input. It's be them. You get? Your output is either a bus or you are sending things into it. So it is what you are sending to it that maybe one or two, all of them, that is causing that meter on the bus to rise. You get? So that's how you want to like address the troubleshooting. Because, and if you don't address it in time, I mean, you might have some money to fix your PA drivers. Question answered. Or you have more? Please ask. I think I'm taking a session I'm supposed to take much later, since you're trying to fix this. Question.
Now, for non-active speakers, normal speakers, passive speakers, what would cause your that speaker connector itself.
The speak on.
Speak on, yeah. What would cause your speak on to burn?
Okay. Your speaker burn. Okay, so first thing is, you see, we have something we call clipping as well on your power amps, right? Now, if your power amp is only red all through, both your power amp and your PAs are in danger, like serious danger. One of them will go, definitely. Your speaker that now burn. No. Could be part of it. But before that, your PA should have gone. True. So I would also address something. Yeah. Maybe it's what he wants to say.
Connection as well. You know, yesterday we were talking about positive and negative. If you look at your speaker, you'll see +1, -1, +2, -2.
That's what I was going to say.
Some people do those connections and they don't check those numbers. On one end, they used +1, +2, and +1, -1. On the other end, they might mistakenly put +1, -2. And you know that the sound you are hearing is not actually sound that
is
is being
electric.
transferred, is electricity. So all of those things contribute. Sometimes the speaker may not get spoiled, but you discover that where you used to plug your speaker on your speaker starts having issues. It may not just be because you are fixing and removing. Something just happens and it all goes wrong. So it's all part of those things that you need to be careful about.
So to add to that, right, where your speaker is entering, if you have the time to get maybe a speaker that they are fixing, check that hub. You would see we have both +1, -1, +2, -2. And you know how our motherboards are, that we have circuit and all of that. Most of the time, those hubs are always on that circuit board, right? And you will see the flow of current actually as it's passing through that. So the one end of your power amp, right? And I think most time what happens is maybe you've done +1 and -1, or your speaker that you've connected is a three-way. Most times, like when you are connecting a three-way speaker, you have to be careful. and connect it. So a lot of things can go on or can go wrong. Question answered. Other question? For now, no. Want to start the pod now? Let me start. So, any other question, guys, please? Any other question? One challenge I know you can face is power issue, but that is not a talk for today. One thing I just wanted to know, the general rule of thumb in Akure, I mean, we've gone to several halls in Akure. The eating system in halls in Akure are amazing, yes, that's the right word. So try to prepare your own eating system. Okay, so I can remember when we were doing this today, I'll just tell you. The electrician that did it, I came, I was like, where's the third cable? I was like, I need it. I was like, come again. Sound. Yes. Did you tell me? And I said no. He was like, I had to tell him, go and buy that cable and buy the earthing rod and fix it. And I need it fixed today. And they were almost covering it. So I came and checked. So they would have connected the studio without heads. And that's in. Checked.
Power source for their sound